is Tom Campbell, and I'm with the Nehalem Valley Historical Society. The Historical Society was founded in 1987, and we're currently located in the basement of the Pine Grove Community House. We came here as a result of the work of one of our earliest members, Owen Nicholson, and his wife Ann. Owen found grant money so that we could improve this basement and move in here out of their basement. And now the Nehalem Valley Historical Society is located right on Lanita, right in the main street of Manzanita, which is a great location to make us accessible to as many people as possible. We're open on Saturdays from 1 until 4 or by appointment, so please feel free to call us or to communicate with us via email, and we'll be glad to open the building up for you. We're currently in a program trying to redo our exhibits, and it's been a really wonderful process because it's given our members the opportunity to do what I like to think of as real society work. People have had the opportunity to study a particular topic and then work with other members to develop panels that will ultimately be an exhibit that our patrons can come and enjoy. So I'm going to walk you around the museum a little bit and hope to show you some of our real fabulous highlights and tell you about the approach that we're applying as we do this. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to introduce you to the area of our study. The area here shown is where we've limited ourselves to. Since we're the Nehalem Valley Historical Society, one thing that came up was, are we looking at the entire Nehalem Valley? If you were going to look at the entire Nehalem Valley, you would end up going all the way up to the headwaters near Vernonia, and we don't do that. So we've limited ourselves, northern boundary coming up near Arch Cape. We wanted to make sure to take in Onion Peak because that's an area that we receive a lot of questions about. And it goes all the way down to where Nehalem County High School is, here on the western border. And over towards the east, we're taking in Nehalem Falls and the Fish Hatchery and Cougar Valley State Park. So that's how we've limited our area of study. Then we wanted to try to move to a more chronological type of display. So the first thing that you're going to be introduced to is an exhibit about our Native American Indians. So the Nehalem River and Bay was host to a certain tribe of Indians that were known as the Nehalems. The Nehalems are a Salish-speaking people and a subset of a larger group of Salish-speaking people that are generally referred to as the Tillamook. Many of the Salish speakers in the area are referred to as Tillamook, even though they may be located at the Nehalem, the Nestucca, the Salmon River, and each of these entities believes and has every right to believe that they're a tribal entity unto themselves. So the first panel that we're going to have here, and you can see that this is only a piece of paper on the wall right now, is going to present you with some information about the early days of the Nehalem peoples. And ultimately the story is going to develop into what happens when the white settlers and the white explorers come to the area and tell their story about how they're challenged by illnesses and by an onslaught of white people, pioneers, coming in and taking over area that had been their property, their area where they found their subsistence. So that's what this first panel is going to be. And I'm showing you this as a piece of paper on the wall because, as I was telling you, we're having a process in developing these exhibits. And so these exhibits first come in as a paper mock-up and then moves on towards further content being added. Sometimes we swap out photographs. Sometimes we decide we want to take the story in a little bit different direction. So there's an editing process, there's a development process, an editing process, a finalization process, And even though you're only seeing a piece of paper here right now, I'm proud to say that within a month, that's going to turn into a very large panel that will be easy for visitors to come and see and enjoy and read. We're really very proud of the way that this project is moving forward. Well, the next thing that I want to highlight to you is this arch. Now, the way that we envision this is that as you come in the door, your eye will take you down through this arch and onto this large photograph of the Janita. And I'll tell you more about the Janita in a minute. But right now, this arch was made by a member of ours. His name is John Thomas. And it is made of lumber that was originally in the Arch Cape Tunnel. And when they had to renovate the tunnel to make it safe again, the work crews took these timbers and tossed them out on the roadside so that locals could come and take them and put them to their own purposes. Well, we had a member that had a number of these timbers in his backyard, and he donated them. John Thomas put them together and made our own arch from the Arch Cape Tunnel. You can see that we're still in a portion of the museum now that the exhibits are still being developed. Once you come through the arch, you'll be seeing the next panel about the American Indians, the Nehalem Indians. And you can't tell the story about the Nehalem Indians without talking about where they are today. There were treaties that had been signed, there was movement that took place. Some of the people went to the Siletz Reservation, some went to the Grand Ronde, some went to the Canal, some of them stayed here. And we want to tell all of that story before we move on. But ultimately we do have to move on, and so the next panel will be about homesteads. And here we're gonna be in a hallway so that we can show on both sides both a story about these early families that came to the Nehalem Valley, and also to show a photographic history of these people and what they looked like and where they came from. So here you can see some of the early families, and these names are still recognizable in this community today. When you come here, people always talk about the Reed family and the Neahkani Tavern. And here's a picture of them on the steps. It's a large family. You can see little babies in the photograph, and some of the older generations still there. The picture of the Nielsen family shows them in a home that was in Nehalem, and this is, of course, a more it's a residence that's made for living in as opposed to hosting other people. So it gives you a better flavor of how people used to live in this area. We felt it was important to add the Adams family, and the Adams family would be Native Americans. They were Nehalems, and Ilga Adams was actually one of the signers for the treaty that was originally signed by the Nehalems in 1851. These are daughters and granddaughters of Ilgas in this picture, and this was in approximately 1890. These women came forward in the community, and over the years were leaders in an area known as Hobsonville, and so they have a real significant portion to our history here. Also, we have the Scovilles, and of course, there's a certain part of this where white settlers and pioneer families ended up intermarrying with Indian settlers, and so the Scovilles are an important settler family, but also Joe Scoville became one of the leaders of a group that's now known as the Confederated Tribes of the Clatsop Nehalem. We have a depiction of the Scovilles and the Alleys and the Grays. They have family association with the Easoms. Here's the Tolls. You can come to the area and still see Toll Road. The Toll family operated a general store in Nehalem. These are all families for whom you wander around our community, you'll run into something that tells you, oh, I know about them. They're here in the museum.